What's up guys and welcome back. Today I'll be making some crazy tight drum loops and I'll show you how you can do that with some processing. But without further ado, let's get into it. So here I've got two track ideas I've made. One is more trappy and one is more housey. The drums are really tight. I'll play them through and then I'll show you how I've done that. And the next one. So the drum groups individually sound like this. And this. So now I'll show you how I've processed them to make them that tight. We'll start with the trap loop. So let's go over here and turn off the effects. It sounds like this now. So we just got a kick. This is one of my kicks. Really simple. We got the snare, another snare layer, a percussion on that snare. So we got the kick and snare sounding like this. Then these two percussions here. We got then another percussion that's playing when there's a break and everything else. It's kind of a cool question-answer rhythm. We also got this percussion thing in the beginning. We got a hat playing every 8th note. We then got that same hat, but that's got some frequency shifting on it, and that's playing on the 16th note beats swung. So with the other hat, we then got another hat playing on the offbeats. And then lastly, we got a drum loop, which with a bunch of processing, an EQ, a frequency shifting, and an RC20, it sounds like this after. So the entire drum loop without processing. And I'll show you the processing now, and it's completely with free or stock plugins only. Without, with. Alright, so I've turned off all the effects individually, and I'll turn them on one by one. So first we got a clipper, and clipping is a really cool technique on your drums to make them sound louder and punchier. It also is a bit misleading when you just play it with this clipper because it's a bit louder, and louder just sounds better. So I'm going to enable this gain that turns it down 7 dB after. So without the clipper and the volume, with, then we got a transient control to boost the attack, making the drums even snappier. Then we got this dB comp. It's an analog style compressor or limiter from Analog Obsession. It's free, but I recommend you go support him and his work as well for the really good plugins he makes. I've just turned the threshold down a bit, as well as turning the compression all the way up and turning the output up 9 dB with the mix at 100% wet. Without, with, super compressed, but it makes it sound really tight. And then another G clipper to hard clip it. And before. The crazy thing is, it sounds way louder with all the effects on. But if you look at the meter here, it's actually quieter with the effects. So let's play it with the effects and you'll see that it's hitting at around -10. And without, it isn't in every single case desirable to have this really compressed and clipped sound, but in this case I do think it works. So with the melodic elements, and if we didn't have those effects on, doesn't hit the same. Let's move over to our housey track, which sounds like this. So we got that standard house kick. We got a clap on the 2 and 4. We got a tonal snare on the 2 and 4 as well. We got this open hat playing on every offbeat. Super housey. And then we got this hat playing on the swung 16th notes to create the groove. This one's actually not playing, so I'll delete that. We got the same rim from before playing this groove here. And then we got that same rhythm hat playing here. This was the one with the frequency shifter on it as well. Then we got another kick, which is actually playing sort of as a tom. And with the kick alone, I've just put an EQ to cut out some of the sub. I do want some of that boominess from the tom to come through, but I don't want it to clash too much with the other sub frequencies. Then I got these percussion sounds, which I chopped up from a loop. Then I added this short section from a loop as well, which sounds like this. And then lastly, we have this percussion as well. So these last 3 percussions sound like this. So now our full drum loop sounds like this. Now we get to the effects, and as you'll be able to see, it is very similar to the other loop. It just fully comes to life with this processing. Without it, it sounds so dull. We first got a clipper again, but this one's a bit different because we've added a bit of soft clipping here. The difference between hard and soft clipping is that with soft clipping, the sound is rounded out before clipping, whereas hard clipping just cuts it off. It's not too noticeable right now, but it does make quite a difference at the end, which I'll show you. We then add another transient control to boost the attack, making it punchy, and then we got this dB comp compressor limiter that is doing so much again. And lastly, we just got another hard clipper. Without it, with it, just kind of tames the sound. Now I'll show you without the first clipper, it sounds like this. And with. So the techniques I use to really tighten my drums is clipping, both hard and soft, transient boosting, and then a ton of compression and limiting. Go grab some of these plugins, mess around with the settings, and make some tight drum sounds. If you want production resources from me, there'll be a link in the description where you can check that out. Otherwise, take care guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.